Try it again with the mute button off. It's Thursday, June 3rd. It's Genius Kev. We're going to kicking off the fantasy basketball show for the evening. We got a couple of NBA games that are going right now for the first round series. And we're going to talk about some of the other series that are wrapped up, then move into second round and talk about some of the teams that are already going home, what they can do about it next year. So speaking about what things they can do about next year, we'll bring in King Michael. King, how's it going tonight?
I'm doing good there, genius. It's kind of funny to come in with like your mic muted and be like, "Oh, hey, it's Genius Kev." Just kind of drops it a notch because maybe that genius would know if he was muted. I'm just saying.
Speaking of being muted, we can arrange to mute you for the whole rest of the show. But I do like the fact that your hair color is muted again. That's nice. I think the viewers probably were a little confused by the blonde, but I think we're good with the blonde.
I don't think they cared. I really don't think they cared. And I'm back in black.
Yeah, true. Speaking of people that just don't care, we'll add Brother Ray to the stream. Brother Ray, how's it going tonight? I'm going to do the show myself. So far, it's two. The Lepreys are out. We're going to have one more chance. Coach TJ, welcome to the show. I would suggest you behave yourself with your intro.
Yeah, no, I got nothing to say. I'm good.
All right, excellent.
What are we doing? We're good?
All right, gentlemen. So we got a lot to get through tonight. As I mentioned when I was on mute, we're going to talk about the ongoing series, talk about the ones that already ended, talk about the second round. But, as an engineer, I'm always kind of tinkering with the format, trying to get more efficient. So we're going to see if we can get through all that stuff in an hour. And I have switched a few things up. But the first thing I wanted to hit is a piece of news from the college basketball world. And the reason why I'm hitting it now is because Coach TJ, if you want to do something right, make sure it gets done. When do you do it? Right now.
I don't think you knew that one.
No, that's like a known thing.
We're doing Coach K. We're doing Coach K quotes right now for 1,000.
Yeah, exactly. I made the quote up. It's my own quote, but we could start with you, Coach. What do you think about Coach K retiring? What do you think about his kind of legacy? The game, and you and I talked about him one show about him in the present time, and then what do you think about the future of Duke?
So, I never really liked Coach K, like all the time. Like I don't think it was fun to be. Who wants to be a Duke fan? That's no one's a Duke fan growing up. Christian Laettner was so unlikable. They beat the Fab Five. That was devastating. I love the Fab Five probably more than any college basketball team ever. But now that you get older and you look back at what he did and what he did with that program from like beginning to end. Last night I watched the ESPN special they did when they talked about his first like really good team with Billis and Allery and Johnny Dawkins and those guys. And they weren't good, and they wanted to fire Coach K. And that team kind of brought them to the promised land. They won the ACC, and then he had a hell of a run. The game, right now it's probably time to step down. He's old. He's been around forever. What he did with USA Basketball is extremely underrated because USA Basketball was kind of going through a lack of credibility phase where we were getting like some B-listers on the Olympic team, and we were starting to lose. And Coach K made it okay for like the best players in the world, your Kobe's and your Carmelos and those guys to become part of USA Basketball. And now it's an honor to be on the Olympic team, where before it was like, it was turning into like NBA misfits. Like the year they went out there with Iverson and that wasn't a team. It was a bunch of guys, So I think the legacy, he's a Hall of Famer. Obviously, I can't say enough about him. But yeah, good run for Coach K.
All right, Brother Ray or King Mike, anything you want to add on top to what Coach TJ said?
Yeah, I do. I mean, 29 current players in the NBA are from Duke. There's only one other school that has 20. I mean, so he has a legacy. He established a legacy at Duke that's going to be there for a long, long time. He really put the science into college coaching with the camps, with the way, with the workouts. He's got to be given credit for that. Never had that magnetic Bobby Knight personality where he would inspire people. He was an X's and O's guy, consistent, coming from his roots at North Carolina. So you got to give him credit. He established that program. He put that program on the map. And again, 29 current players in the NBA. That speaks for itself.
You know what he did that was really cool? Sorry, Mike, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I don't want to forget. When he didn't allow freshmen to have cars on campus for like the longest time. And that was the most impressive thing to me about like culture and program building. So the freshmen that would come in would have to roll with the juniors and seniors and be exposed to the culture of what it means to play basketball at Duke. Now, lest we forget, Duke's an actual college that you have to go to classes and to tests. You know, Duke isn't Alabama football, you know, with all due respect to what they do down there. But he had these guys. I mean, Jay Bilas is an attorney. Elton Brand is a general manager in the NBA. These are not dopes that he was recruiting. These are high-level college players. And when it started to get away with him is when the one-and-dones became a thing, and the freshman was the best guy on the team. And that was a lot for him to overcome. And that's why I think you've seen Duke kind of drop off a notch, because now you got freshmen on the team. They're there for 1 year, and they're the man on campus. But in the 90s, I mean, if you were a freshman, you know, Christian Laettner, you might be an All-American in high school. You're not getting a car as a freshman. You're rolling with the big boys so you can understand how this program works. And that's how you have a program that runs for 40 years. That's it. Sorry, Mike.
All I was going to say was I think the best part is, like, who are the best Duke pros, you think, in your opinion? Like, that made it as pros.
Don't make me say it.
All right, other than him, other than the problem child, who's next? Like, what I'm trying to say, he made a lot of great college players as opposed to NBA pros, which is a good thing, I think. Like, he got more out of his kids than they had, some of them. You know what I mean?
Makes sense. Yeah, like the parts added up to more than what you would think they should.
Yeah, like a Laettner.
I mean, Laettner had a great career. I know people always like to hate on him. He had a long double career before he got hurt. Elton Brand had a good career, made some All-Star teams, but you're right.
Grant Hill. But still.
Yeah. But you didn't have like the North Carolina class where you got Hall of Famers all over the place and friggin' Stackhouse and Jameson and Vince Carter, and then there would be Duke, and they come in here, and I mean, Jay Will was probably his best player if he didn't get hurt, to be honest with you. But
so that's my whole point.
You're right. That's a hell of a point.
He did a lot with like those guys. They weren't always like the best NBA players. So I like it.
All right, cool. So that's and I have nothing to add on Coach K. I'm kind of curious to see where Duke goes. I guess they have one of the assistants. Although they looked outside, but one of the assistants is going to take over. Guy's name escapes me, but
he was a hell of a player too. The kid that's taken over was a good player with Duke, if you remember. He was tough. They have a good culture. They have a coaching tree that's like endless. There's plenty of Duke guys that can go in and fill in for the culture. But can you be Coach K? I don't know.
Yeah.
Who's saying right?
Is it Amaker?
No, it's not going to be Amaker. It's going to be Shiloh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what it is, Shiloh. Yeah.
And Kev, I realized that Gray, they call these spouse punchers. Gray ones, they show stains when I dribble all the Canada Dry or the stuff I'm drinking. So I changed to all black. For you.
Thank you.
Your show. I want to look good for your show.
That's good. I'm glad you're. Yeah. We do. All of us kind of take pride in ourselves. I changed to a white Arkansas River Canyon Marine whitewater rafting T-shirt that I got when I was 22. I think so still fits.
No, what I'm saying is, I get the shirt that I wore for a whole hour of football that I sweated in, but because look, you can't tell. And the minute anything hits that gray shirt, I'm going to look like some guy who should be fixing your pickup truck. I said, let me put on the black shirt for Kev's show. He's hosting basketball, and I don't want to look like a slob. So, Kev, this.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We need an ashtray, too, for King. King, we need an ashtray for
you. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You look a big, huge. Yeah.
Ray, and you know this
behind
ashtray.
The logo. You got to put it on the other side.
I know it.
You know this ashtray so well that you don't want to admit it.
I think I got hit in the head with it. I think it bounced off my head.
Ray.
All right, gentlemen. We're 9.5 minutes in, and we're talking about the color of Mike's spouse assaulting shirt and whether or not he has a
I don't
cool
call it anymore because it's his shirt. I just want to say what it is, but I can't say that apparently. So what kind of shirt is this then?
All right, so Denver-Portland just tipped off, still 0-0. That series is 3-2 Denver. Obviously, anyone who watched the last game probably was just blown away. Dame Lillard, unbelievable amount of three-pointers. And I was actually at some point I went to bed and I was listening to it on like Sirius Radio, and the Denver announcer would be like, "Oh, one more basket here, and it's over." And then Lillard would come down to hit a three. They turn over, Lillard hit another three, and I'm just like, "Would you?" And he probably said it 4 times, and 4 times Lillard did the same thing. The other part that killed me is I had CJ McCollum's prop over points. It was over 23.5. He was at 18 or 19 at the end of regulation. I'm like, okay, I lost. At the end of double overtime, he was still at 18 or 19. I don't know if anybody else on Portland scored in the 2 overtimes besides Lillard, but it was like they could play 100 overtimes, and CJ McCollum is never gonna score another point. It was like destined to lose. So I guess, what do you guys think about that series? You can talk about that game. Then I want to get an opinion on tonight's game. Let's start with Brother Ray.
I mean, I don't know. I had Portland to win this. I mean, Denver is obviously the higher seed. I think we talked about that in a previous show.
Yeah.
Do I expect Austin Rivers to have another 18-point game? Do I expect Monty Morris to have 28? They really, got some really good performances. I mean, Michael Porter Jr. has been playing lights out. Gordon's been consistent. I keep saying I don't expect that to continue, but they keep winning games. I mean, Portland is really solid. I think Covington had a good game, and I'm hoping he really asserts himself tonight. I like Portland tonight.
Yeah, Coach, what do you think? What do you think of that last game? What do you think of Dame? What do you think of the prospects?
Dame's ridiculous. He's just ridiculous. I wanted to go 7 because I want to see a game 7. So I'm strictly, as a matter of greed, I just want to see a game 7. I don't want either one of these teams to lose. They're both likable teams. Like, I wish they weren't playing each other. It's one of those situations where I like watching them both play. It sucks that somebody's season is going to have to end. This is the way it's going to end. I hope Portland wins tonight. I hope we get to see a game 7. That'll be like much must-watch TV. And you got to feel like if they go to a game 7, it's going to be those 2 superstars that do it. One thing I love about Jokic and Lillard right now, they are the man and they're playing like the man. There's none of this, well, they won despite of. No. Those 2 guys are going head-to-head, and it's great to watch. So that's where I'm at with this series and tonight's game at the same time. One take.
Yeah, I said it before, Mike. Then we'll go over to you. Watching Jokic play is unbelievable. He's probably my favorite player to watch in the NBA right now because he makes everything look effortless. Everything he does is just beautiful and smooth. And even like when he rebounds, when he runs the court, he's this humongous. He should be this humongous lumbering guy that's good for like 4 points and 3 rebounds. And instead, he's like the best player out there, and it's by far. It's so just. And he doesn't, like, he literally, a little jump hook, a fadeaway, a free throw, a 3-pointer. Everything looks beautiful.
You know what someone told me he was like today? Arvydas Sabonis before he came to America.
Ha!
That's what someone told me. Brother Ray, you might know that a little more than me, but I remember when Sabonis came here, people said, you don't understand. You're not getting Sabonis. You're getting a taste of it. But they say that he reminds them of Sabonis before he came to America, and that might be accurate. It might not be. I didn't watch a lot of, Sabonis pre-America shit.
So listen,
our Sabonis,
the Sabonis that we got had bad knees and would take that mid-range elbow shot, money all day. So we didn't get to see the real good Sabonis. Secondly, most importantly of all, every time that this matchup comes up or Portland comes up in general, I always say the same exact thing, that if it comes down to it, you can't beat Dame. You can't do it. I've been saying it now for weeks, and I said it's going to go 7. I agree with Coach TJ, and then I said the last thing you want to do, as good as Denver is go to a game 7 against Dame. That's just a fact. I'm so high on that kid that I really believe that, like, when the light shines, certain guys in this league, they can, certain can't. This kid can to an Iverson type level, to a Bird type level. I'm telling you, if he has any saying tonight, they're winning tonight and going 7. If they go 7, how do you bet against him in a game 7? I don't know. As good as that guy is, Kev, with all the fundamentals, he's just not Dame.
It's crazy. That's why they're so much fun to watch. And the other thing is the teams are built almost complete opposite ways. Like Dame and McCollum are so much better than Denver's guards without Murray. It's not even fair. And then you got Jokic and Gordon and Portland can't do much to stop them or to offset their productivity. It's a really, really cool series. But anyway, so I guess tonight I didn't bet the side or the total tonight. It's Denver +5. It's Portland 228. I did a bunch of player props. I won't bore you guys with all of them, but I got a bunch of stuff, a bunch of action on different players going right now. All right, so that's the first one. The second one is Phoenix versus LA. So Phoenix is up 3-2. We all know the major storylines. You got AD. I don't know if he's playing tonight, but obviously he missed the previous game, and Lakers just completely no-showed it. You got Pope is out. Actually, Pope is injured. He may play. He may or may not play for LA. So I haven't seen like official kind of starting lineup information yet for that game, but that'll affect the bet tonight. But and then you got the LeBron drama. You know, is he gonna play this as I somehow came back from all this adversity, and you can't you guys just watch me do it without AD to force a game 7, or does he fold like he did last game? So let's go in reverse order. We'll start with the King first. I know you're a big LA fan. I know you're a big King James fan. The line is Phoenix +2, and 211 is the total.
Take Phoenix. The Lakers are done. They don't believe in LeBron, the other guys. And Charles Barkley, his nickname for AD is Street Clothes. He calls him Street Clothes. Why? He's always
that is the best thing. Yeah.
I, as a Laker fan, want them to sit AD tonight. I don't care if he's ready to go or not, as he says he is. He's got a hamstring. He's always hurt. Sit him and let LeBron ride this flaming train wreck out, because it's not like AD's been playing like AD. He's been playing like AD who's hurt. He's not going to be like, I don't know what they expect out of him tonight, because it ain't going to be there. Sit him. Let's just ride it out. Let LeBron get what he's got coming. Let him get another 30-point blowout tonight. And then let's just end this, please. Can we just please end this and get him out and get it done? And then wait. Then LeBron and Stephen A. Smith can get on a boat and go someplace. They can take Kyrie. All right. You bet my arm. The three of them could just go to an island where I don't have to hear from them for at least 1 year.
Hey,
Those
that's
three guys, that's all I want.
Stephen A. Smith, he's on my list of people I would just want to hit with a bat. Him and Stephen Colbert. Maybe it's the name. The two of them are at the top of my list. But you can shut that guy up for 10 seconds. Forget a year.
I would never hit him. I would look. First of all, Colbert. I would never hit him. I would want to tell him, Stephen, do you know how many times you're wrong? If Skip Bayless wasn't around, you would be the most wrong out of anybody that's on TV. That's the God's honest truth. And the worst part is that's what everybody thinks right now. I don't know if he knows it or not, but where he's at with his career, as his hairline goes to here, it looks like he's got a 3/4 head. Stephen A. Smith needs to understand that he doesn't get it anymore, and we don't want to hear. Today he stormed out because the players didn't get mad that Brad Stevens just immediately got promoted to president. And I'm going, dude, he was the coach. That's like an easy transition, isn't it? He's mad that LeBron didn't stand. He stormed off. ESPN said said that LeBron should have stood up for the fact that they should have at least interviewed a couple of black coaches, because they need to have black coaches. And I'm yelling at the TV screen, Casey Jones. Jones. He was there before I even knew. He might be the first black coach that I really remember, if I'm being honest with you guys.
Russell.
So, yeah.
I'm just saying, it goes all the way back. So to act like that was like such a big deal that the Celtics, I mean, I know Boston has, if we're going to say there's not a little bit of racism in Boston, especially way back in the 70s, we're liars. But what they're saying and the way that he's portraying it, the Celtics organization, as of late, within the last 20 or so years, Steven, I don't know where you've been. That's what I'm trying to say, you dope. Like, it's been a while, dude. They just promoted the coach to the. It's an easy transition. Why is he got to be with the fact of what he looks like? You know what I'm trying to say? He's got to get on a boat with LeBron and Kyrie and just go. I don't want to hear them anymore. I tell you what, if they go out on a island and never talk for a year, so will I.
Oh, wow.
I'm going. I'm out. If they go, I go.
All right, let's test that. Brother Ray, how does this affect the Space Jam 2 premiere if the Lakers lose?
Yeah, I mean, again, you could just see the wheels turning in his brain. I mean, man, he left that game with 5 minutes left. Can you picture Larry Bird against the 76ers?
Kobe?
Or Kobe Bryant? 5 minutes left in the game. I think I'm done. I'm going to go sit down. Was he storyboarding his next movie? Like, what was he doing? Like, seriously, like, you have no Davis, and you're checking you out of the game with 5 minutes left. There isn't enough clown makeup to go around. Seriously.
Let me interject for 1 second. Let me interject for 1 second. Kev, Space Jam 2 will do fantastic no matter what happens. You know why? Because it's going to do great in China.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
John Cena did the wrong thing.
Oh, terrible.
And they did horrendous. It's the worst opening for a Fast and Furious movie in China ever. Because John Cena was part of it, and he called Taiwan a country.
Yeah, Taiwan a country.
And then they didn't go see his movie. They love LeBron.
Dude, like, can you imagine William Wallace in the middle of a battle against Great Britain saying with a sword like this and going, oh, wait a minute, guys. Wait, hold on. I'm out. I'll be right back. Yeah, I'll catch you in a couple minutes. I'll be back for the next battle. I'll be right back.
Hey, Coach, I'm throwing you a lifeline. You got to save me here. Let's get back to basketball.
I'm going to give you 60
Phoenix,
seconds.
LA.
We can get on. We're 20 minutes in. We're on the second series of the second game of the night. So let me just keep with this. First of all, the only person in America wrong than Stephen A. Smith is Anthony Fauci. So let's start with that. Fauci's a scumbag, and everybody should know it. Stephen A. Smith, you want to know how he's so wrong at his commentary is so bad, and they're losing so bad in the ratings. Is that now everything's about race with him now? It doesn't freaking matter. Every score, position change. Let me tell you why Brad Stevens went from one end to the other, and I won't mention this when we talk Celtics. They just signed him to a freaking contract extension. They have nothing. They're not going to pay him to go home. They had to give him a job. They didn't want him to coach, so they put him in the front office. That's it. It's done. It's all over. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what else happens after that. As far as this series goes, I'm still not betting against the Lakers. As much as I think it's been a sinking ship for 3 months, as much as I think Phoenix smacked him in the mouth the other day, as much as I think LeBron's a bitch and he bailed out on his team, when it comes down to what's happening tonight, I still think the Lakers are going to win, and I still think the Lakers are going to win the series. And as much as it pains me to say it, I'm here to tell you what I really think is going to happen. What my heart says is I hope it's over by halftime, and I hope they self-combust with technical fouls and jerseys getting ripped off and players and coaches arguing. I hope it's a complete meltdown. But something tells me that the game starts, LeBron comes out aggressive. The guys with the whistles start putting him on the foul line. I can just see it all happening. I can see this game play out in my head. Tonight, I think the bet is on the Lakers. And in the series, I still think it's on the Lakers, even though they're going to have to do it in Phoenix. Because don't forget, Chris Paul's still banged up. This is no sure thing over here. This is no sure thing. So that's where I'm at with that.
TJ, if it falls apart, what are the odds that LeBron goes after the littlest guy on the other team? Give me odds. Like
110%. Or start yelling at his worst. Or they're going to find out when they start clearing the bench, right, and they put in some like ninth man, that's the guy LeBron's going to berate as if the whole series is his fault.
So here's the thing. Like that narrative still holds water because we've never seen it disproven, right? But LeBron doesn't look like he has it this series. Like he doesn't look like he can bring it. He doesn't go to the basket at all. He hasn't gone to the basket at all in 5 games. He just doesn't look strong. He looks like he's still hurt. Like, can he still turn it on?
That's not it, Kev. Sorry. It's that he doesn't want it. He still has it. He doesn't want it. He's not playing hard. He's got it.
Here comes the excuse. Well, we just won a championship. We only had a 60-day off season. You could already hear it. Because it's never going to be, I didn't show up in the playoffs. It's not going to, no matter what the excuse is going to be, it's not going to be, I was terrible. It's going to be an injury, the schedule, the fucking racist. It's going to be something, but it's not going to be his fault.
I won an Emmy. Look at my Emmy. I won an Emmy.
And can we take him down from the greatest Lakers of all time?
Jesus. Hey, that's business inside your building. You got to straighten that one out. Moving on to the next series. Clippers versus Mavs. Clippers are down 3 games. Mavs are up 3 games to 2. All the away teams have won every game. This is the most frustrating series I've probably seen well, I can't say in a long time because I haven't watched a lot of series in a long time, but I hate both of these teams. King, tell me why I should not hate both of these teams. They're driving me crazy.
I'm sorry, which two teams were you saying?
The Clippers. Thanks, Brother Ray. Why should I not hate both of these teams?
Why? Because of Luka. Luka, I love watching him play. I was watching that game last night. He is a magician out there. He looks like he's 60 years old. He played like he's got that old man strength about him. And he's a young pup. Amazing. I mean, I love watching this kid play.
Ray, you got more and more broken up as you spoke. It just popped. Listen, Luca reminds me of the guy that you go to like the boys club. There's like a pickup game, bunch of guys throwing $5. They go to play, and then there's this one guy. He's not quite in shape, but you can't believe how he's pulling off these shots after shot after shot. Like it's like, what? That's what Luca is. He actually reminds me of at least. I know he's in better shape. I'm just saying.
I saw in the last game, he was dribbling the ball like way out in front of him, and he dribbled through 3 people, and he looked like a old, fat, slower Bob Cousy. I'm like, nobody does that anymore. You can't dribble like that around 3 guys. Like it was like ding, 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 it was awesome. Yeah, I mean that's really the only reason because Kawhi and Paul George. I'm tired of them both. I'm tired of Tyronn Lue. Tired of all of it. The game on tomorrow night is Clippers -2 at Dallas. Coach, what do you think of that? The game, the series where it's at? Who's going to pull this thing off? And should I care?
I kind of don't care. It's fun to watch Luka play. The Clippers are just not interesting. They're not fun to watch. You would think with those 2 wings that plus you add in Rondo, you would think that team would be like a good watch. They're not a good watch. I hope Dallas wins because I hate to see the Clippers in the next round. I think everybody misjudged what those 2 guys were going to do together. I hope that Dallas just put them out of their misery like quick so we get on to the next round. Let's see what happens next. Yeah, I agree with you, Kevin. It's hard to like either. And I don't really, outside of Luka, I don't really love what Dallas does either. There's a lot of no-name shit going on over there too, but I agree with you.
And the weird thing with Dallas is they got Porzingis, and he doesn't look like he even wants to be there. Like he doesn't look like he looks like he rides his own bus and he takes his own plane and he practices by himself. Like he's just, I don't understand how I'm constantly betting his under points and his under rebounds because he doesn't do anything. Like the last game, what did he have?
Keep up with Luka.
Yeah, he had 8 points and 6 rebounds. His line was 19.5 points and like 8.5 rebounds. It's not even a fair bet. You should bet it every night. But
the offense that they run is so Luka heavy, like Ray just said. Yeah. Porzingis doesn't quite know where to fit into that offense, and you can see it. He looks like that kid that didn't go to the last practice, so he doesn't know where the hell he's supposed to be on the floor. Right? That's what he looks like.
He does.
Yeah, and the last thing I'm going to say is I have not a favorite player in the league. Robin Lopez is my guy, but Boban Marjanovic, 7'4". They started him last game. Clippers looked like they had never seen anyone that big their whole life. It was so much fun watching that guy. 9 points, 3 rebounds. What?
He was great.
Boban was in Philly, Ray. I loved him. Every minute that guy was in the game, he was the freaking most effective guy on the floor when he was in the game. The problem is he can only play like 3 minutes in a row. But he would come down. Then he started making free throws and jump shots, and you'd be like, Boban have 12 points in 6 minutes, and then he wouldn't play for 3 days because he had to rest. But Boban, yes. And by the way, one time I'm watching the game with my wife, right, a Sixers game, and Boban comes in, and I'm all excited. And she's like, that guy looks like an alien. And I'm like, you want to see something? Google his wife. So we Googled his wife. If you guys want to see something that makes no freaking sense, Google Boban's wife, because it is not what you think it's going to be. Let me tell you that.
He fought John Wick. I mean, come on.
That's what I'm saying. He fought John Wick.
That's it.
I'm a big Boban fan now. All right, gentlemen. So we got in 29 minutes, we got through 3 series, only 5 more to go. So at this pace, we'll be out of here maybe before the Lakers tip. I don't know. All right, so the series that wrapped up. We're going to maybe try to go through these a little bit quicker. The way I want to do it is talk the series, talk about the series loser, because obviously the winners go on, and we'll talk about that when we get to round 2 series. But Utah, 4-1 against Memphis. We were all really impressed with Memphis for beating Golden State in the play-in. We thought they had a great first game. I think Ja had a monster series, got a great future. Utah just looks like a machine. I mean, they're sort of fun to watch, but it's weird. Like there's no Dame, there's no Booker, there's no Doncic, there's no not in Porzingis, why can I not? Jokic. There's no one like that on Utah. They just keep scoring points and winning games. So I guess, what do you think about the future of Memphis? Do you think they got something there? You think they'll be able to attract a little more talent around Ja and around Brooks and around Jaren Jackson?
First thing is I gave you guys, it was 1-1 that Memphis wasn't going to win another game. I gave you guys that.
Yep.
So anybody who was taking notes, I think the future's bright in Memphis. No question about it. I think it's bright. I like what they're doing there. This was a good experience for them. Really good experience to get into a 7-game series against Utah and even steal a game. Awesome. I think they're on the right track. I think Ja's for real. Don't forget, he missed a lot of games this season, or maybe they have a higher seed. Who knows? So I feel really good about Memphis. As far as Utah goes, you're right. They just play a team brand of basketball. Ball flies, guys take shots. Gobert is much stronger than he looks. He is a big, strong man. So, yeah, they're dangerous. And you look around the West and you see some of the things going on, makes you wonder, we might end up with Utah in the finals.
Yep. Yeah. All right, Brother Ray, what do you think? Thoughts on Utah, Memphis?
Yeah, I mean, Utah, I think with Donovan Mitchell in that lineup, their defense just becomes that much better. Gobert's probably the best defender in the league. I mean, he was the NBA Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year last year. Probably going to be it again. I mean, Utah strong. They are what they are, but you got to give Memphis credit. I mean, they were gutsy. The whole series. I mean, Ja, this experience is going to propel him like threefold. And they have a nucleus. When we talked about the youngsters, Brooks, Jackson, who's been injured mostly, give those guys another training camp. They add a couple more pieces. They're definitely on the rise. They were playing with house money anyway, so no one expected them to beat Utah. They're just in a really good situation right now.
Yeah. All right, King, any thoughts on Memphis that we haven't hit?
Yes. We'll talk about Utah later. Memphis, it got Ja some really good practice for when he signs with another team. That's what I think of Memphis.
No.
You can't. Oh, yeah. Memphis is going to lose those guys within a couple of years because nobody stays in Memphis, and that's just how it goes.
That's not true. My cousin stayed in Memphis for like 30 years.
No one's going to come sign with Memphis.
It's true.
30 years.
I'll tell you, Tennessee is one of the hot spots right now in America.
No one's going to
want to be in Tennessee.
No one's going to come sign for the Memphis Grizzlies.
I hope you're wrong because for obvious reasons. Just to get another market there. I really hope you're wrong.
It won't.
Maybe somehow with the three we talked about, and obviously Valanciunas, they can sort of make a nucleus that stays and get other people to join. I hope you're wrong, but
I always see teams like this, and they always fall apart, right? They always get picked apart. There's always teams that are like that are starting to be, they can look good together, a couple more picks, and they're gone. They just get picked from the New York, LA teams, the coasts.
Yeah. All right, so moving on, we got the other series that wrapped. We're going to talk about the 2 Eastern Conference ones, and we'll focus on the losers because we're going to talk about the winners when we hit the second round. So Brooklyn 4-1 against Boston. The big news out of Boston, Coach hit it a little bit earlier, but I want to see if any of you guys have any thoughts on it, is Danny Ainge retiring after 18 years, 1 championship with the Big 3. I don't consider that a tremendously successful 18-year run. I mean, 1 championship in 18 years, I don't get it. And then you got Brad Stevens moving into the director of basketball operations role, so he's basically in charge of the front office. No experience in that role whatsoever, and his first task is hiring his replacement. So I guess, what do you guys think about the state of the Celtics right now? Brother Ray, we'll start with you.
Absolute disaster, and I couldn't be happier. I really couldn't be happier. I mean, you're going to elevate him to the director of basketball operations? You can't coach a lick? Are you kidding me? I mean, and Danny Ainge, what is he going to do? Is he going to hoist up all those future number 1 draft picks to the rafters next to all those championship banners? I mean, come on. And I think Coach TJ talked about it. They moved Brad up because of the contract extension. They're going to hide him in the front office, and then he's going to be gone. If he's going to be making decisions for that team, they are in serious trouble.
All right, King, what do you want to add?
Yeah, imagine I came to your house and you and all your family are there. You invited me over. I walked in the house and I flipped off everybody in your family right to their face. And as I was walking away, your brother Jeff threw a water bottle at me. and almost hit me. And then I pressed charges on your brother Jeff because I came to your house and I stripped you guys all off. But Jeff, the idiot that he was, threw a water bottle at me. What would you do, Kevin?
I would probably want to beat the shit out of you. That's what I would.
That's good. I don't mind that. But would you press charges? Or would you show that you actually believe in real peace and harmony, and you say, you know what? You're not going to ruin my life, the rest of my life, with some sort of felony, so you're going to drop the charges. And you're doing it only because you don't want to see another life ruined. Doesn't matter what the color is. You just don't want to see, Italian or Irish. You just don't want to see another guy get ruined. Would you do that?
You'd have to drop the charges.
No. Oh, that's true. So would I drop the charges? Yes.
Okay.
In a long way, yeah. Come back to me,
All
yeah.
right.
That's all I got to say about it. That's all I got to say about the Celtics.
URI student, by the way.
Yeah. So, Coach, so you said a little bit about Brad Stevens a second ago. What I want to ask you is kind of everything I'm hearing right now is okay. They have the big two. They have Tatum and Brown, but they can't do anything else because of Kemba's monster contract. And the only way they can make another move and get get some more real talent in there, is to somehow get offload Kemba. Is that just a luxury tax thing that they don't want to pay it, or are they against the hard cap? I mean, what's the actual situation behind the scenes?
First of all, they're cheap. Second of all, what Danny's real screw up is that he gave max money to a banged up Kemba Walker, an overrated Al Horford, and a made out of glass, Gordon Hayward. Like he has two young pieces to build around. They just kept throwing the wrong guys in there, and I part of it is delusion because they kept waiting for Kawhi or AD or Kevin Durant or all these freaking names to want to come to Boston. Like you said, Memphis is not a destination. Neither is Boston. Like if that's the quality of guys, you're throwing max money at everybody, and the only ones that'll show up are Kemba Walker, who Charlotte didn't even want to re-sign because they knew he was damaged goods. So I think there's a problem, and Jason Tatum is not going to stick around. He's not into this stuff. He wants to go somewhere. He thinks he's one of the cool guys. Like he's going to want to go team up with somebody, whether it's maybe it's John Morant. I don't know who his friends are, but he's going to want to go team up with somebody. They're in for some turmoil over here. I'm curious to see what they do at the coaching position. But as long as Kemba's not healthy and you're going out there with two young guys and a bunch of scrubs, have fun in the 7 seed, because that's all you got.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. And the other thing that I've been thinking about is they won the championship in I think 2008, 2009, something like that. So that was in Ainge's first sort of 4 or 5 years on the job. Did he just sort of lose his aggressiveness? Because getting Garnett and getting Ray Allen to go with Pierce were pretty aggressive moves. Did he lose the ability to be aggressive, or is he just making bad decisions as he got older?
2 words: Kevin McHale.
Yeah.
That's why he got KG. 2 words: Kevin McHale. Go back and look at that trade. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. All right. Coach, any final comments on the Celtics? If not, we'll move on to Milwaukee, Miami. All right. So Milwaukee sweeps Miami 4-0. I think that was the beginning of the official Milwaukee Bucks redemption tour 2021. They're supposed to exercise all their old ghosts. Ray, I know you were kind of into Jimmy Butler from a fantasy basketball perspective. We saw he didn't really have a great series. Let's start with coaches. We haven't started him in a little while. What did you think of the series and kind of Miami's performance and kind of, are they done? Do they need to be they need to be like kind of reevaluated and broken apart, or what?
I don't think they have to be reevaluated and broken apart, but I was very surprised at how that series went. I mean, under every option of what could happen in a 7-game series between two teams, Miami getting swept would never have crossed my mind 100 times. Like, there's no way they don't steal a game. I think Butler had a bad year, and that's what it comes down to. But I still think between Bam and Butler and some shooters that had bad years, I think Miami's going to be a good enough team moving forward. I think that, they made a finals run in the bubble that was kind of a little bit inauthentic. So, that's not a good way to end it. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth. But Spalletti is probably one of the top 4 or 5 coaches in the league. He'll have him back. They'll be a playoff team going forward because there's enough there. But, yeah, what a shit way to end it. And good for Milwaukee because Milwaukee has some momentum right now, and they're going to need it.
Yeah. All right. So, Brother Ray, we talked about Jimmy Butler a little bit. Does Oladipo stay in Miami, or is he going to, or what happens with him? I know they traded for him. Pat Riley was excited to get him. He didn't really play much at all after the deadline. I mean, what are your opinions on him in Miami in general going forward?
I mean, I don't think they're going to keep him. They have a very deep bench. They have a bunch of youngsters like KJ Okpala. They have Precious in the wings. They have a bunch of guys on that bench that I think are going to step up next year. They've done a good job accumulating young talent, and they're deep. They were deep going in, and I think that is another surprise, and Coach talked about it, that they would get swept with such a deep team. But, I mean, they'll be fine next year. This was a different season. Spoelstra's a solid coach. He's very steady. They'll be back. Butler did not. He just couldn't measure up. And they played what I think is the best team in the NBA right now. I think Milwaukee is a juggernaut right now. And I think Brooklyn's going to be in for a lot of trouble.
Yeah, we'll hit that in a second. King, what did you think of Precious Achiuwa's season? I remember on draft night we talked about it. You had some strong feelings about the name and the kind of person that would name their son Precious. Any thoughts on him specifically, or the Miami Heat in general?
The Miami Heat are like homegrown salmon. You know when they grow their own salmon to stock their own ponds so people can come fishing? That's what the Miami Heat players are. They're just getting them ready to go to other teams. This is another team that for some reason has got a bunch of young people that I don't see them keeping. You know what? I've almost given up hope. I want to know like where Brooklyn is and the LA guys are. It's like there's a handful of guys that wherever they go. And then no one's. I mean, again, Butler's going to be out, and they're just going to be salmon. So that's what I think of the Miami Heat, Kev. I'm sorry, salmon.
Salmon. All right. So you got salmon. You got an analogy about coming over my house and flipping people off. I'm starting to lose it. I got to be honest. I think we're starting to drift a little.
Putting Jeff in prison, yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. You're suing my brother.
I think someone knows what I was talking about.
Yeah. Well, Brother Ray caught it. All right, gentlemen. So we talked about those two first round series: Brooklyn, Boston, Milwaukee, Miami. So second round, we got Brooklyn versus Milwaukee. First game tips on Saturday. I think it's Saturday night, like 7 or 8 or something like that. Should be a very good game. Milwaukee's getting 3.5 at Brooklyn. So we talked about the losers of those series. Let's talk about the winners and what you guys think. I mean, you guys alluded to it a little bit, but I mean, obviously, Brooklyn offense set a record for efficiency in NBA history. It was like the most efficient offense in NBA history, which is crazy because their big three never only played together 7 games. Milwaukee had a very high scoring offense and an amazing defense. How do you guys see the series playing out? Let's start with the King. So I don't want to give you enough time to think of a metaphor. So maybe let's talk some basketball.
Ric Flair, by the way. It's kind of like the Empire, the Dark Empire with Darth Vader, and he's on the ship, and Emperor Palpatine's there, right? And Milwaukee's this little sky fighter that doesn't have anybody that's a Jedi on board. It has like some guy that goes, "I'm hit," pow, that guy. That's what they are, Milwaukee. They might win a game or two, but ultimately they're gonna lose to the most negative team in pro sports history. That's what I got to say. All
right. So, okay. So that's one. So you're going Brooklyn. You have a number of games.
Brooklyn tonight. Yep.
Brooklyn Saturday night game 1 in Brooklyn. All right, cool. All right, Brother Ray. What do you think of the series? You think Milwaukee can pull it off? We got one vote for Brooklyn so far.
I'm taking the Bucks in Game 7. I think the Bucks could very easily win the championship. To me, they're the best team right now. I know they have the big three, Brooklyn, but I mean the big three in Milwaukee is pretty damn good right now. And I'd put their big three up against anyone right now. They're playing that well.
That's like a Disney movie. That's not going to happen.
And Coach, maybe you get into a little bit from a breakdown because the stuff that I've heard is that probably Milwaukee's a team that could best match up against them because they have arguably enough defensive talent to actually stack up on the big three. So that was obviously one thing, and then the other way, the argument is that maybe Brooklyn isn't strong enough to sort of stop Giannis and stop the Milwaukee inside game. Do you think that has merit to it, or are you going Brooklyn?
Well, from a matchup standpoint, if anyone's going to beat Brooklyn, it almost has to be Milwaukee, because you're right, they do match up. Because you can put Giannis to match up with Durant on size. You got Holiday that can match up with Kyrie with speed, and then Middleton can play James Harden. I don't know if he can stop James Harden, but he can play him. What's been most impressive to me about Brooklyn is James Harden right now, because we knew one of them would have to change their game, and Harden's changed his game, and it's actually made him better. Like, here's a guy that led the NBA in scoring 2 years in a row, maybe 3 out of the last 4 years. And he comes in now, and he just scores on occasion, and he still gets his 20. But he's not dribbling the ball all over the place. His court vision is, bar none, amazing. He made a pass the other night cross-court where I didn't even see the guy. I'm watching on a freaking TV screen, and I didn't even see the guy open. And Harden just hit him with like a BB right in his chest. So Harden's been very impressive. I do think Milwaukee has the bodies to match up with him from a physical standpoint. Yeah, I can see Giannis going to the basket and not getting a lot of resistance. Unless Blake Griffin feels like spending a few fouls on him. But this is going to be a classic series. I don't see any way where this thing doesn't go 7. Game 1. It's a toss-up. I'll have better analysis after I watch Game 1. I guess for Game 1, I probably would take the Nets just because of the way they've been just an absolute freaking machine on offense. But it wouldn't surprise me at all. One thing I do think, if Milwaukee's going to win games, they're going to have to slug them out to the last minute. If anyone's going to win by 10, it's going to be the Nets, because they can get super hot and they can just steal the first half and the game's a wrap because they score so quickly. So that's where I leave that.
Let me just add one thing. It's exactly what he just said, and that's when I knew that it was over. When I saw James Harden playing like he wanted to win, like he was going to do whatever he had to do to win, I said, you're not going to be the Nets. You're just not going to do it. You can try to rough them up tonight, try to keep up with them, but it's always going to be to try to keep up with that, each position almost. So it's like, no, if they're going to get their points, they're going to get their points. It just happens.
And that's the beautiful thing. The Nets' 3 best players are like 94% free throw shooters. So you can't even follow these freaking guys. Like, you get into the last 3 minutes of a quarter, James Harden knows how to get to the foul line as good as anybody in the NBA. I mean, and then they get to the foul line, and they just make a ball. So the offense is unbelievable. But again, if anyone can beat them, it's going to be the Bucks.
Yeah, and just because I love
2 guys, genius, that I want to point out from Milwaukee: Bobby Portis, and the other Lopez. Okay, Brook Lopez. Yeah. I don't think Brooklyn has an answer for those 2 guys, and they've been playing really, really well in the playoffs. They're both good on the defensive side. I think that could be the X factor. Again, 2 guys, not big names, but they contribute every night. Yeah,
yeah. The lesser Lopez actually has been having a good playoffs that he could. I was thinking about him too. And the other 2 names I wanted to mention is one on each team that's out. Jeff Green on Brooklyn. And Dante DiVincenzo, who I just wanted to say his name once on this show, is out for Milwaukee. So that'll affect things a little bit. In Brooklyn losing Green, you would think is bigger, but DiVincenzo is a pretty significant piece off the bench.
DiVincenzo, a big role for that team, a big role on the team. Yeah, and he's Italian.
Exactly, which is why I had to say it.
Yeah.
All right, so cool. Yeah, I don't know how I'd bet this game. I'd probably bet Milwaukee the first game, because if they're going to steal one in Brooklyn, it's probably going to be the first one. But I don't know. All right, so last 2 series for the first round, and then the last series for the second round. We're going to save the Sixers for last. So you got Atlanta pretty much handling the Knicks really well, 4-1. New York won that second game, and then just didn't win again. I thought it said a lot about Atlanta. I actually was on record saying I thought Atlanta was a more talented team. But I have a problem with Tom Thibodeau as a coach. I think he's kind of like a Brad Stevens, where he's got a high floor but a low ceiling. Like, he had those guys playing defense and hustling all year. Then the playoffs come around, and no one else was. Then the playoffs come around, and everyone starts playing defense and hustling. And they just don't have the horses to keep up. So I wasn't surprised they lost. I thought Trey. I'll leave it to you guys to talk about Trey Young. I think he, kind of like Ja, probably made a stronger statement than Ja. But let's flip it around, Coach. We'll go with you first.
Yeah, so that's a good point. That's a good point you made about Tibbs and about how the Knicks played. Don't forget, these are 2 preseason lottery teams for the most part. So the fact that they both ended up where they are, I think both programs need to feel good about themselves. The Knicks are a player away. They're probably 2 players away. Randall got exposed. he didn't look like anybody's go-to guy. As good a year as he had, he didn't look like anybody's go-to guy. I think the future is brighter in Atlanta as well as the present, because Atlanta's young talent is really, really good. Capella looks terrific. I think the Knicks are a couple pieces away, but it's a good year for that team. I know King Mike thinks it's the championship or bust, but if you're the Knicks, you were coming in looking at a lottery pick and you made the playoffs, had a win in the playoffs. So good run, and I'm just glad Philly gets to play these two teams instead of the other two. That's that, right?
Does anybody know what Houston got for Clint Capella when they traded them to Atlanta? Because I remember not liking that deal at all when it happened. Just as a cursory, just sort of following it, because I used to watch Houston in playoff games. One of my friends was a huge Rockets fan. He was from Houston, and Capella does what he does, and he's very, very good at it. And I can't think of what they actually got back for trading him. It's just I think Atlanta got a steal there. King, what are your thoughts on that series quickly, and then the Knicks specifically as they have to kind of resurrect themselves from this latest defeat?
This might be like as good as it gets. Like, this might be Knicks fans' highlight for the next 10 years, because I don't know, the Knicks do things like this. Who knows if they'll ever be back? The Hawks, however, are more talented than I thought they would be, right? Like, I got to give it up to Trey Young. I mean, it's hard because it's like kids can't go out and get his hair cut. It can be done. What are you going to do? Burn half your head? How are you going to achieve the Trey? What if my son goes to the barber and goes, "Give me the Trey Young"? What does he do? Shaving patches off?
Did it all out?
Oh, man.
All right, brother Ray. Your thoughts on the series? Your thoughts on both those franchises moving forward, and kind of what do the Knicks do to kind of improve on this season?
Yeah, I think they burned out. I think they started really fast. They put so much effort in those first couple of games, and they burnt out. And you could see by the way they played in those last couple of games, they had nothing left in the tank. Coach talked about Randall being exposed. He is not the number one guy. He is not, Dame. He's not going to put a team on his back and take them to another series. That's just not who he is. I mean, they need a couple more pieces. They need a point guard that's going to take over a game. They need someone in the backcourt. And you know what? But they're on the right track. They made the playoffs. The arrow was pointing up. I think Thibs had them so revved up. I think they just burnt out completely. And I think that's what you saw. They were a completely different team at the end of that series. So I look forward to them adding more pieces. I think they're on the right track. I like the role players they have. I like the way they play. If I'm a Knicks fan right now, I'm in a good spot.
That's a good call. That's a good assessment. And I kind of question, Derrick Rose. I mean, he's older, obviously. He looked good at points. He looked like he wore down towards the end of the series. Like he had a couple of amazing games there, and he was hitting it. And I was betting his points props. He was hitting his points overs, and then he kind of just sort of ran out of gas. But I guess the big one is Randall. Like, what happens with him next season? Is he just a regular season? Like, is he a number two? Like he just can't do it in the playoffs. But
he's a starter on a good team, though. He's not. He's just not. He's not. Hey, I don't even think he's your second best player on a championship team. I'd love to see him. He's better than Blake Griffin, who's going to be starting on a playoff team. But the expectation for him after his regular season was way too high. So they're always going to be a destination. Maybe a guy goes over there that bumps everybody down a level, and I think that's exactly what they need. And as far as D Rose. When he can win you a game every couple of weeks, but he can't carry a team anymore. He's like my age, for God's sake, So he can win you a game he's like me in the men's league. I might score 2, I might have 26 and then not score for 2 games. I don't know. You never know how the knees are going to feel and where the ball's going to come out from. So that's kind of D Rose right now. And for them to win, we had said it earlier, D Rose has got to be, the second best player, and he definitely wasn't. So there's that.
All right, cool. All right, so that kind of wraps up that series. Last series, saving probably your guys' favorite for last. Philly handles the Wizards 4-1. Big news there is Embiid, obviously. Since you guys are relatively well behaved, we'll actually start with a Sixers fan on this one. I guess. What did you think of the series? some thoughts there. A few thoughts on Washington, because we will hit Philly versus Atlanta as our last part of the show here. But what you think of Sixers watching that series, and what do you think about Washington going forward? Because they have a lot of questions. We'll start with Brother Ray.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll start with Washington first. I mean, that's a scary team. I mean, if they had Thomas Bryant in that series, like that could have easily have been a different series. I mean, the question's going to be, Beal's got 1 year left. Brooks doesn't even have a contract. The coach doesn't even have a contract yet. What's going to happen there? I mean, Beal, Westbrook, Rui really grew up in this series. I mean, I was cursing him last night. I don't think he missed a shot. Like, they have some young pieces. Thomas Bryant, who we didn't get to see this year, is a really talented five. They have some pieces. So depending on what happens with Bradley, what happens with the coach, they'll be back next year with Westbrook. That's a pretty talented team to be the 8th seed. Having said that, I as much as I criticize the Sixers, I think their defensive performance in this series was unbelievable. They kept them either below 100 or barely over 100 pretty much the entire series. That's the highest scoring team in the NBA. Even without Embiid, I thought they had a heck of a night last night, clamping down on people. Beal's going to get his points. Westbrook's going to get his points, but they slow things down. The question right now for the Sixers is, are you going to get Embiid back at all?
Yeah.
If you do, when is that going to be? It's going to be tough. I mean, it affects everything else that you do, but I thought as a team defensively and offensively, people stepped up. Tyrese Maxey, we are seeing him grow up in real time. This kid is going to be a legitimate star. Coach?
Yeah, so to start with Washington, Hachimura is a good player. He's going to be around. He's going to have a career. I'll tell you somebody. You want to hear a guy who's going to get a contract, right? This dude that jumps and dunks, Gafford. Like,
oh yeah,
some
I like
teams
watching
pay
him
for 2 weeks worth of work. We see it every year. But I'll tell you, watch him. A couple of dunks he had, like off 2 feet and making a he's got a hell of a acumen for getting the basketball in traffic. Some team is going to overpay him and try to make him a starter, and that's going to be like why that team sucks. Like, you can just see it happening. I don't think Beal's long for Washington. I hope it's not. Beal belongs on TV every freaking night. He really does. And I don't think Washington's the answer for him, but I'd love to see him come to Philly, dude. It's a quick ride. You don't even have to move, probably. You probably got a bus. You can take an Uber. Yeah, Washington was a good 8 seed. It was a good series. It was kind of – the games were good. Outside of one game, they were all pretty decent basketball games to watch. When it comes to the Sixers, you're right about Maxey. He's aggressive, man. He's got balls, that kid. He really does. I thought Seth came up big last night. I'm glad we get Atlanta and not Brooklyn or Milwaukee right now, because I think we can beat those teams, especially if Simmons is going to take 11 shots. I think the Sixers can beat the Nets or the Bucks, but they got to be healthy and they got to be clicking. They can't go in there and beat on a minutes restriction and think they're going to win. I think they can beat Atlanta without Embiid. I really do. I mean, they're a better team all year. I don't fall for the recency bias stuff. Like, I don't feel like Atlanta can come to Philadelphia and win there at all. No way. So hopefully it's a nice, clean, 4-1 series, and then we let those two teams slug it out. But yeah, for an 8-1 series, it was pretty good. And thank goodness we got Atlanta.
And I heard one of the things I heard about Beal was one of the reasons why he didn't want to switch teams. He was, I don't know how this would play into it. I'm just curious if you guys heard the same rumor. He was so worried about like COVID and interrupting his routines and all that stuff that he didn't want to even take the risk of like going to another city and setting himself up again. Something crazy like that.
So we can add that. See, Dr. Fauci with his bullshit caused Bradley Beal a chance to be playing an extra series or two in the NBA playoffs because of the fake panic where Bradley Beal could drink the coronavirus and not even get the sniffles, right? And so now Bradley Beal had to go play with Russell Westbrook, which cannot be easy. I got a feeling that Beal's going to move. They can get a lot for him. They can get a haul. I mean, they can get some teams like drafts. They can get first-round picks and whatever you got. Because Beal's a legit NBA building block player. I don't know that Dame Lillard's better than Bradley Beal. I'm not sure of it. I mean, I think he is. I'm not positive.
All right, so we're gonna get a couple of words out of King on this series of Washington in particular, based on his quizzical look. That's why I kind of wanted to go over him quickly. I guess you have some thoughts on Lillard versus Beal, then talk about the series in Washington, and then we'll wrap it up with Philly versus Atlanta.
Well, first of all, Beal is no Lillard, period. Secondly, Wizards, thanks for coming, whatever. Philadelphia is going to roll through this series. That's all I got to say on it.
All right, so, Brother Ray, you've heard the stuff on Embiid, meniscus tear. Now, if I were him, I don't know what I would do, because if he really worsens it and becomes a career-threatening injury, he's probably knocking himself out of, literally tens of millions of dollars of future earnings. Is it, is it, I don't know if you've heard anything else about the severity of the injury, but I guess it's a tough question for him. And what do you think if he's in or he's out? How do you see the series going?
I mean, it's a slight tear, which usually that require a meniscus tear usually requires surgery, but a slight tear is really like a sprain. So they treat it differently, and the way they're approaching it is they're not looking at surgery. They're gonna do therapy. They're gonna try and avoid the surgery route. Is that gonna work? I think what has to happen for this team is, as Coach said with Atlanta, I think they can hold him out and see what happens. And if they get threatened, then you may see them maybe speed up him getting back into the actual game. But I think we're fortunate that it's Atlanta. He has a couple of days. I mean, he warmed up last night, and he didn't look. I mean, he did a lot of his regular things, and then they stopped him down. Again, I don't think long term it's a meniscus tear. Surgery. I mean, he's been through a navicular injury, so if he can deal with that, I'm sure he can deal with this. I just think with Atlanta, you're only facing one superstar, whereas the team we just played had two of those guys. Two of those guys coming at you every single play. And I know Capella's going to be tough down there, but he's not the offensive threat. Very good defensively. Collins is a good player too. I just like the way Philly matches up with Atlanta, and I think they're going to hold him off. Embiid.
Let me throw this out there too. And here's when you got a guy like Embiid who's so injury prone. Here's how fine the line is, right? With this guy, when they came in Game 3 and their first 5 shots, 2 of them were Embiid jumpers, and it looked like they were going through the motions. And then you're watching Washington. The game started turning into Washington's brand of basketball. So what happens? Embiid decides he's going to dunk from somewhere he had no business trying to dunk on that play. For what reason at all are you trying to do that? So he goes down. I yell, "What the bleep?" My wife goes, "Stop overreacting." And I said, "Embiid's going to be out for fucking night." So, of course, he stays on the floor. Then he comes out, and she's looking at me. And I'm like, Embiid's done for the night. And then Game 5, Embiid's out for Game 5. And it's all because they weren't playing right. I'm telling you.
Right.
The Sixers have to play right to win. When they start trying to beat something they're not and start running around with these guards, then Embiid's going to try and dunk, and then Embiid's going to be hurt. But, again, I really, really hope they can get through at least 2 or 3 of these games, where even if Embiid's on a limited minute, because there's no possible way they win the shit unless we go through Embiid in the next round. No possible way.
When Embiid gets tired, he gets hurt. I mean, that's what it seems like. He gets tired. You see him. He overexerts himself and he tries to do something that a 7'2" guy should not be doing.
He can't hide it when he's tired. He looks it. He wears that fatigue right on his sleeve. He's like Ewing in that sense, where you can just tell he's out of gas. The back of the shirt comes untucked. Yeah, you got come on, Dwight.
Gotta hook him. Doc's gotta hook him.
Come on, Dwight. You got to give us 26 minutes tonight, Dwight. Oh, Lord.
All right, so, Coach, Sunday night is the game. Atlanta right now is +4 at Philly. I think the line is pretty high, 220.5, something like that. What's your pick for Sunday? Obviously, you don't know about Embiid, but you got to bet it right now.
I'm going under the assumption there's going to be no Embiid, and I'm going to say Philly in the under is the way to go. Philly's bench is loaded right now. These guys are playing great. Forkmoss has been terrific. Maxi's good. Thybulle's tough. They're going to put Thybulle on Trey Young, and Trey Young's not going to like how it feels. It's going to feel very, very uncomfortable for him because Thybulle is strong and wide and long. I don't think there's any way without Embiid or with him that Atlanta is going to come into Philly and win a game. 4 points, If that jumps up to 5 or 6, I might be inclined to take Atlanta with the number. But the closer it is to a push, then that's the Sixers are going to win those 2 games at home.
Yeah. All right, big final thoughts. You have a pick on that game and Sunday again, Atlanta +4.
Sixers.
Yeah, Brother Ray.
Yeah, I love Philly.
Yeah, I was going to bet
Portland's up 7 at halftime.
What is it?
Portland's up 7 at halftime.
Oh wow. Okay, cool. All right, gentlemen. So that's it. Though we actually hit the agenda, got through everything in an hour 5. That's not bad for us. King, any final words before we wrap things up?
No, I had a great time, Genius. I can't believe that I'm realizing that you're the only one I think that didn't get that analogy, which bothers me because you're the genius.
Which analogy is that? I got only one of your analogies.
The one about going to his house and flipping everybody
I know
off?
the water bottle thing. I think I got it. I was just kind of playing along with it.
All right, I want to make sure
they got the guy. They're going to press it.
They're going to end the guy's
guy,
whole life throwing a water bottle. College kid throwing a water bottle. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm old, but I remember in college you kind of like throw a beer bottle through a frat house and you run from the cops and they don't even find you. And they don't even care to find you tomorrow. So
yeah,
they would kick you out of the game. That's all they would do.
Yeah, and I saw
handcuff him, drag him out. Make him spend the night if he had too many beers.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. I definitely saw it because I was like, wow, they're actually charging like assault with a deadly weapon or something. So a water bottle is now a deadly weapon, which is freaking insane.
Outside my AR-15, this is the deadly weapon that we carry around here at the trophy house. Like, come on.
Yeah. Fucking break. Very uncomfortable. Brother Ray, any final words?
Looking forward to the next series. Looking forward to the game tonight. I think it should be interesting.
All right, Coach. You have the floor. I do feel threatened.
This is the funniest. This is the funniest hour we've done in months, man. That was a lot of fun. The playoffs got everybody giddy. These games are only going to get better and better as the matchups get closer and closer. King Mike, we're going to have the Lakers on Monday. The Lakers still going to be in it when we meet again on Monday.
That's a big question.
I hope not. I really do. I told you they should sit AD and call it quits. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, you might see them. Damn it, you might. Yeah, you might.
And you so might. My final words. We haven't done a Genius Kev stat of the week in a while, so I'm going to leave you with an easy one. Last night was the last night. There will be 4 games in one day for this NBA season. So with that, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you all for watching Legit Fantasy Basketball presented by Legit Fantasy Sports. Genius Kev, bidding you all a good night. Watch the Lakers Suns game, and we will see you on Sunday.